I got nothing to lose. Time is running out and I'm overdue. And I'm coming for you with a hard head and a bad attitude. I wanna take a walk in the wild. I wanna feel our hearts collide. I wanna feel alive. I wanna take a walk in the wild. I wanna feel our hearts collide. I wanna feel alive. I got room for two. There's only one thing that's left to do. Hold steady, I've had my eye on you. I'm coming back at you like deja vu.
Hey, you know me, Joe Roeder from Red's Fly Shop. Doing one of my favorite things today. I'm fishing one of my friend's private bass ponds here. And it's a very small space. It's mostly small bass in here, but it's a great time to come out with a boat like this. And there's tons of public ponds and lakes just like this. Now, it's a little windy today, so some advice that I want to give you is the wind isn't such a bad thing. I've got a boat like this, and I can use my oars to row when I need to cover a little ground, and then I've got my fins on to orient myself and keep the boat slowed down. So what I did is actually, you can see my truck on the other side of the pond here in the distance, and I just used my oars. I rowed up to the other side, and now I'm going to treat this a little bit like a river, and I'm going to work my way with the wind at my back down the bank. The fins allow me to move very slowly and very methodically under control, much better than an anchor because it's more efficient, and I won't use my oars on the way back down. So the gear I'm using is I'm using a 6-weight Sage payload, great for these small bass like this. If you're after just big ones using big flies, the 7-weight Sage payload is a little bit better. The fly that I'm going to use today, and I'm going to try to get some video on my GoPro that's mounted on the back, is called the Rainey's Devil Dog. It does have a rubber tail, and when that fly falls is when they take it. They actually don't tend to take it on the strip like a trout does. They tend to take it on slack line. So you really have to use your predatory sixth sense to feel when that largemouth picks it up. Smallmouth tend to tackle it on tension a little bit more, but these largemouth, the takes can be quite subtle on this fly. So what I'm going to do is I have this GoPro mounted on that tripod, and I'm going to try to document getting a couple of bass. And when I'm stripping this fly, let me just throw a cast here, is when I'm stripping this fly, I'm going to let it sink, and I'm going to let it sink with just the tiniest bit of tension, because these bass, almost half the time, they will actually take it while it's falling initially. I'm going to be casting right up against the reeds with the deep edges. They're going to take it while it's sinking. So I'm going to be under a lot of control with just a tiniest bit of tension while it sinks. If I feel a void of tension, like the fly's weight disappears, that might be a bite, and I'm going to initially find it with a strip set. When I find the bass with my line hand like this, then I'm going to go ahead and set the hook with my rod, just like so. Once I made that initial descent, I'm going to do a strip with kind of what I would say is a medium intensity. I'll just throw a cast out like this. Let's just say I've let it sink what I think is near the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and strip, a long strip at a medium pace, and then I'm going to let it sink again. And as it's falling, I'm sensing for the strike, and I may even maintain just a tiny bit of movement on it like that so that I have good connectivity to my fly. So I like a long strip of medium pace. I like to plan on the fish eating it as the fly falls. For a leader, I like a 6 foot. In shallower water like this, I like a 6 foot RIO Big Nasty tapered leader because it turns over a big fly well. And on my 6 weight payload, I like a 7 weight RIO Big Nasty fly line for turning over a big fly like that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and work downwind in this little pond right here with the wind at my back, and I'll see if I can't pick up a couple of bass to show you these techniques actually work. So number one thing to remember is with largemouth bass, if the water feels cold, it's cold. Never underestimate how slowly you may need to move your fly. You need to be under very, very good control with a snug line, not waving your rod tip around or letting your boat blow around. Use your fins, keep the boat very, very stable, and stay connected with that fly and move it very slowly the entire time. Let's take one quick look at the setup I have and the gear I bring. I did not bring a backup rod on the boat with me today. I just brought my payload, was the only rod that I took. The only fly I fished other than I did try a popper was the Rainey's Devil Dog. That fly was very effective, especially when it's fished slow. I used the Outcast fins, and I just got my bass bag. It's full of bass flies, although I only used a couple today. Small landing net, and then I'm trying to GoPro off the back end of this thing. But that's my basic Watermaster setup right there. Works great for fishing small water just like this, catching some bass, and I also caught a giant lunker carp as well, which was a nice bonus and really good fun, proving you can catch a trashy fish and still have a great time doing it.